So we used to have what I said, native, right? So native is another way to do digital where it's all authority pages. Think about you're on ESPN or you're at Free Press and you're reading about the Lions and their badass offseason they're having. And you're oh, hell yeah. Then I'm a big Lions fan. And then all of a sudden, bam, someone's like, this is in the solar. Hey, solar can reduce your energy cost and help save the planet. Solar for middle class. What do you think? It's just a headline. They click it. Now it's an educational page. It's not salesy. Hey, here, Jesse got solar. It tells a testimonial. It tells the impact that it did. And then it says, maybe you can save. And it's always like a maybe, should you, where it's not, come here. And then they're like, oh, I like that. And they click. And then that's when I said self-book. You said you don't do that. We don't get the lead and call them. 80% of ours is self-book. They click it and then they get the calendar and they book it. And we do a call the night before to confirm. And that's huge because then you don't have to have all the call center people that you're carrying. And you're allowing the consumer to empower themselves to make a decision. And that's a big deal. We're doing all that through Monday. We're doing all that. And we did all that before through Salesforce. You have to build an online funnel, right? You have to build, Monday will connect to Calendly, which will connect to your sales rep schedule. And you have to build what they call a funnel. I'm not the technical guy to build it behind closed doors, but it's basically when they click it, you're capturing their information and now they're self-booking to your Calendly and then you're booking the appointment and scheduling it. And you've got all that data coming through. And so that's where the funnel management is. And then that also allows us, if they self-book, if they're like, oh, I can't do it, it's easier if I'm hot on it right now and I think I want concrete and I call you and I'm like, hey, I'd like you to come see me fucking Tuesday. Well, then more than likely I'm going to sit. We talked about that. I'm not going to really cancel. I'm probably going to sit because I need it. I'm like, I need this. If I see an ad and I'm interested, but I don't know if I need it. And then you call me, I may not answer the phone. That's step one. I was interested, but now it's not hot. I'm not answering the phone. You know how that is. You get leads like, fuck, they don't answer the phone. All of these things, or they finally get hold of me. I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay, I guess I'll book it. Well, then that day comes and you're like, shit, I don't want to deal with that guy today. That's what happens. So when they self-book, they fill out the form and they go straight to it. Psychologically, these consumers feel more committed because they booked the date to convenience for them. It's like, it's the craziest thing. They're like, well, I can do Tuesday at 5. So they fucking feel like they own that appointment. It's on them. It's just how it works. And then when we call Monday, we're like, I'm just letting you know, Jimmy's coming tomorrow, Tuesday at 5. And we don't even fucking call them. We text them. We say, hey, this is XYZ company, and we're coming to fucking see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Great or no. And if they don't respond, we still go. And if they say yes, we put confirmed and we still go. And if they say no, we try to reschedule. That you have to do that because you eliminate the human error of somebody fucking up on the phone. You eliminate the human error of someone not picking up the phone. You're allowing the consumer. I'm a big believer in this, empowering them to make decisions. People want instant gratification every day. You're giving them that opportunity in your business because you're not selling. People don't want to be fucking sold, man. Like I'm a big believer when they go into the home with solar. I said, I don't want you to fucking talk price. I don't want you to show the proposal. I want you to walk in and then I want you to immediately take them outside and take pictures and show them and make them envision where it's going to be on the roof. And then I want you to walk them over the power panel and make them envision where that battery is going to look like and where it's going to be and pull it out of your car. And then what they're doing is they're automatically their guard. You know this. Anytime a sales call happens, I don't care if they want it or not, their guard is up. So if I come to your house, so your guard's up. We all are like that. Our guard's up. Like, I ain't going to be had. You're not coming to my house and ripping me off. We have to get the guard down. And the only way to get the guard down is you don't talk price. You don't talk sales. You talk about, oh, well, this is what it would look like. And then we sit down and we talk a little bit about the company, a little bit about us. And we say, well, why am I here? Then, well, what is your reasons? And you start doing that to where their guard comes down and they're doing all the talking. And then you go, well, here's what I can do for you. To me, that's always worked better. It's how we've trained our people in every industry because you don't want salespeople. Salespeople, they're just hungry. You want educators in the home that can educate the consumer to make the right decision. That's how I've always spun it. Like you have to educate the consumer. This is how this works. This is what the impact is. Here's your potential savings. Here's what we can do. Here's some testimonials. I'm real big in testimonials. We had thousands of testimonials online. People saying, I love solar. Bam, I got it. All these things. And when they see that, it It's more real. I got a friend of mine just opened a brand new company, and he's like, it's a friend of mine. He's my daughter's boyfriend. And it's still in high school. So he's not like my friend, but I'm coaching him somewhat. Right. And he's like, can I please buy you lunch? And he's like the biggest entrepreneur I've ever seen at 15 years old. And I'm like, how are you going to get to lunch? Like, I'm going to Uber. I'm like, you're skipping school. My daughter's like, please, Dad, just meet with him. Please, please, please. And I met him before. He's a great kid. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I said, first of all, I don't want you missing school again to meet me. He's like, all right, this just happened this week. We sit down. He's building a digital marketing business, kind of like what you look. He's building this. And I'm like, and he knows I know this. And I'm like, well, look, I can get you in touch with some people to teach you more. I said, but what are you doing with your first client? He's like, well, I'm really nervous. Like I have this client in Gastonia, and it's just so funny here, a 15-year-old dude. He's like, I got this client. They sell wheelchair ramps. They're wanting to do some digital marketing. I've taken every class on YouTube. I've done all these things to learn it. And that's another thing you do. You want to learn it so nobody can fuck you over. But you know, he's picking it up and he's like, so I'm going to do it. I don't know what to tell him. I said, well, first of all, you got to act as if you have 1,000 customers. You can't act as if they're the first one, because nobody wants to be the first one. You can make a mistake and say, hey, we're kind of new. But you never say, I don't have any customers. You're my first. Like, you never lie. If they ask, you tell the truth. They don't ask. You want to assume that you're the biggest and baddest out there. I said, when we were very small, and I used a salt thing, I said, we were very small in Michigan or North Carolina. We were this big. We advertised like we were this big. And people are like, fuck, that's a big ass company. It took a while to get to be big, but we acted as if, we showed as if, we marketed and branded as if we were so large. Like you said, we were the decision. If anyone was going to do it, they were like, those are the big guys. And, you know, we weren't big always. We started small, but we've acted like we were huge from day one, because that's confidence, and confidence closes deals. So the brand has to have confidence. Well, it just depends. I mean, I'm a big believer of bringing people along for the ride. So you want them growing the same way you are. They want to see the advancement. You know, you want to work on your profitability and bonus them on the profit, so they feel like they're an owner or they're a partner. Because I think that's important. When you just compensate a leader just based on just sales or just dollars, not overall, then they're just about that sale thing. And look, sometimes that's okay. But I you know, what I've learned is it's when they care about everything, they'll turn the lights off. They'll pick the soda pop that they buy at the store. Wink, wink, Brian. Yeah. And, you know, little things that happen that you figure out, and you're like, okay, you know, I need someone that's going to think like me and that's going to care about the overall health and profitability of the entire company, not just sales or clients, you know, because you might have clients, but it might be costing you more. You might lose on some clients, and you don't want them to just go wheel and deal. You want to be profitable. And I think that if you're going to bring someone along on that, you want them to, you know, eat, breathe, shit, sleep, everything you're doing, think like you, be a little mini you, and then you hand them that responsibility, and then you bonus them on your profits, right? I'm talking to a lady now that owns a lash company. And she crushes it. She probably does, I'm not kidding, $400,000 a year or so. And she's like, I don't want to share. I don't want to add people, but I want to grow. What do I do? Right. She should have been on this call because she's signing up. But I said, look, you can't be greedy. You're going to have to give some of that up. A small piece of a big pie is a lot more than a big piece of a small pie. And you have to be willing to think like that. Okay, I don't mind giving them some of that because I'm going to expand this, and it doesn't matter. We all win. And that's what it takes. And so you train that little mini me. I think it's, if you get to the point where you're overwhelmed, if you get to the point where it's like, I don't have enough time to grow my business, I'm too busy managing my business, then you need to find someone that you can train ASAP to manage it so you can grow it. Because that's the thing. If you're only managing it, you're not growing it, then you're stagnant. True. So if you're at that point, then you need to start making that move. And don't think title is so important, right? So to some people, different things make people tick. Sometimes it's title, sometimes it's money, sometimes whatever it is, right? Yeah. If you've got that right-hand person, you don't need to just pop and make them the CEO. They could be the director of, the VP of. Got it. Right? Yeah. And then you have more room to grow, because you got to be careful. Once you hand them the key, you can't get it back. Like if you put them at the top of the line, there's nowhere to fucking go. So you almost want to ease them up so they have more growth, because once they get to the top, I tell people, like, the only place they can go is fucking down. Yeah. So you want to have stairs for them to continue to climb. Yeah. I've made the mistake. I'm like, all right, you're a president, you're a VP. And then it's like, well, fuck, now we're huge and I really need a real president. No offense to this guy. We've outgrown him.
Yeah, like
What
someone
do I
that can
do
bring all
now?
this value
Right?
more. Yeah,
Right. But if I'd have
absolutely.
made that person a senior director or a VP, then I have room to bring someone in as we grow, because you will outgrow people. Your business will outgrow folks. It's normal. It happens, and I remember on my team, like, we outgrew other people, and I was like, well, shit, we're going to have to bring people in and give them other titles and shift around. And what do we do? And I've learned over time that you can't put them at the top of the line because there's nowhere to go. You don't need that title. The title won't do it. And what you can tell them is, look, eventually you're going to be my COO. I'm not big enough to have a COO right now. So you're the director of operations, but eventually you're going to train your replacement as we grow, and you're going to be the VP. And then after the VP, like, you give them, like I told you, they want to see where it can go. They want to see the opportunity. Exactly. Oh, I've got that. Then they get excited, and it's not insulting because, they'll understand. You're not, depending, if you only got 15 employees, you don't need a COO. You need someone managing your operations. If you give them that title COO, and all of a sudden you get to 1,000 clients and you got 300 or 400 employees, guess what? That person might not have should have been the COO, and then you're cutting them off. And
that's true.
That's unfortunate. And I've been there. I've done that. And that sucks.
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to that. I still run into my own issues with goal setting. I get frustrated sometimes, like with this new coaching program. It's like, am I supposed to be up to 100 members and 15, which means 100 in the community and 15 one-on-one? Or am I good with, 20 and 5, right? And so the question is you have to set your goals, and they've got to be realistic goals. And I don't want to, outgrow what I'm supposed to be able to manage and handle. And so, when you talk about setting goals, I talk about all the time, you want to establish clear, measurable, achievable goals that align with your long-term vision. And part of that, when you're running a business, or you're running a sales empire, or you're in real estate, or you're building a company, is we have these big long-term goals. We're like, you know what, we're going to accomplish this. I want to do 10 million this year. I want to do 20 million this year. But you got to focus on this week's goal. You got to focus on this month's goal. You got to focus on next month's goal, the next 90 days. And when I remind myself, and I have to do that all the time, okay, slow down. What's my goal this week? Okay, my goal this week is to gain one person one-on-one. I'm giving an example from my coaching business. Gain 5 people in the group. What is my goal for the flooring company we're involved in? Well, make sure we get more sales reps, help push the executives that are running the company, my partners, to do what they need to do, make sure that we can get Atlanta opened up. And I think it's important. I don't care how big or small you are in business, whether you're starting, whether you're doing 200,000 a year, whether you're doing 2 million a year, whether you're doing 20 or doing 200, it comes back to realistically setting those goals that are attainable and measurable, that you can put in front of yourself, and you want to be able to obtain them. If you set goals that you can't get, you're just going to get discouraged. You're not going to be able to get to the next level. You're not going to be able to better yourself and get that momentum and build that confidence. Everything is about confidence. If you're not confident in yourself, and I doubt myself sometimes too, like I have to go, shit, Jay, I gotta wake up. Like, I can't get down on this. I see progress. And sometimes it's hard. It's like watching paint dry. It's like watching your hair grow. Like, it feels like it's not going anywhere, but it really is. When you start to look at it, I pulled in the parking lot today and I go, holy shit, in 2 years from right now, 2 years ago, I got a place in Florida, and we were on our rodeo to try to take the company public. A year ago right now, we had $1.05 billion offer to do a reverse merger. And then now that company's closed, and I'm building from the ground up, right? So much changes in 1 year. So much changes in 6 months. And that's when you go back and you look at it to see your progress, but you always focus forward. The one thing that I really love, and I'm gonna work on a lot on the one-on-ones and the courses that I offer, is when you go into a home, or when you're talking to a client, what is the best way to sell? Because a lot of people just go in there, wheel and deal, and that was great like 15 years ago. Right now it's about listening. And it's about finding those pain points. And it's about finding the reason why you're there and making them tell you that. And it's about building rapport. And it's about letting your guard down, but helping them put their guard down. We all know this. And whether you've done in-home sales, you've done anything that any of you guys have done, people don't want to be sold. So they automatically have their guard up, and they're scared that you're going to take advantage of them. Even if they invite you in the home, even if they called you for the service, they feel like they're not getting the best deal and their guard is up. Your job as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a salesperson, as a broker, as a real estate agent, is to get that guard to come down and have a relationship with them. Your job is to make them trust you, to build credibility, to talk about yourself and be vulnerable, talk about who you are, what you're about, talk about the company that you're with, what they're about. Show that passion rather than just sit there and say, oh, this is what I do. Let me see if I can get you the best deal. That's not what people want nowadays. It's not 1995. It's 2023. And people have this, and they have access to this to do everything and anything they want now. So it's your job when you're in front of them, whether you're running an ad online or they're talking to you, to empower them to make a decision. I always go back to the very basic part of all of us have done this. You walk into a clothing store, and when somebody says, hey, can I help you? We all say what? Nope, I'm just looking. That's what we all say. But if they come up as some lady comes up to Tavon in the store and says, hey, here's a 34 jean. Why don't you go try these on? And they're dope. What's Tavon going to do? If he wears 34, I don't know if he does. He's going to go try them on, right? They're seeing a want or a need, and they're not asking open-ended questions, and they're not just coming in for the sale. They're providing a service. And we have to act like that when we go into a home. One of the things we taught in solar was we don't go in there and sit down and say, here's the deal. We walk the home and let the customer envision the product. We're going to put it up here. That looks good to you guys, right? Why am I in this meeting with you guys? Is it because you don't like the utility company? Is it because you want to save the planet? Is it because you're looking for tax credits? Is it because you're worried about power outages? Are you trying to reduce utility bill? What's the main reason? What about you, Mr. or Mrs. Smith? What is your main reason? And when you get those, you're able to navigate through, because everyone has their own buying reasons. And your job as a salesperson or an entrepreneur or a leader is to use your sensors to feel that and then be able to make a decision and help them. And you're the specialist where you've built that rapport, that guard is down, and you're able to make a move on that. No matter what you're doing, whether you're negotiating with a business or you're negotiating with a home buyer or you're negotiating with a customer in their home, it could be negotiating at a salon. Hey, what does he do? Well, we do all kinds of services. We do this. You're inviting them in. You're running ads that say, hey, we're different. We're not just a normal salon or a normal barbershop. Here's what makes us different and why. You want to have a fun, great experience? Come see us here today. Like, those kind of things bring people in, but people don't want to feel sold. I hope that makes sense to people. Everyone says, dude, what was the biggest experience, that you've learned with everything that happened? And I preach about it in my book and my podcast. I'm always saying, pay your people first, pay your vendor second, right? Then reinvest in the business, then pay yourself. I left tens of millions, if not $100 million on the table, not paying myself distributions for like 5 years. I left it all in the company. So one of the regrets is you better find a way to pay yourself as well, right? Pay your people and you something. Pay your vendors, reinvest. You got to reinvest though. So if you think you need to make $100,000 a month, make 50, reinvest. If you think you need to make 50, make 25. Like, you have to do something. I didn't. I kept it all in there, kept the same pay from 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And the company went from 40 million to $1 billion in value, and I didn't get paid anymore. So that's mistake number one. Family's like, really? Like, it sucks. Okay. 2, you have to protect, block, and tackle. So you have to, no matter how big a company is, you have to have a second option. We always had 2 panels. We always had multiple finance companies. We had 2 racking companies. We had 2 BOS companies. We had everything in 2s, except when we switched from SolarEdge to Generac, we just went all in one. And it was great until it wasn't. And then we were like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And it was like they caught the tiger by the tail. We were done. Like, we couldn't fix it. So I always tell people, like, just be proactive in that. Have a second vendor, even if it's one market. You need to protect yourself like that. You can't go in bed all in with somebody something you can't control. Now, the lawsuits will all figure it out, and Generac will lose. They've already lost half the value of their company. And $6 billion market cap, and they went from 300 stock price to like 1 and change since we closed. So I know it's done them damage, but there's a huge lawsuit for $1 billion that all our, customers will eventually get something. All the employees we had to let go. Like, I don't think I'll ever get anything out of it. I pray, but I highly doubt it. It's just too big of a number. So we'll see what happens, but they will lose that lawsuit. And that'll be ugly. It'll go on for years. I'm still having to do depositions for it and stuff. And truth keeps leaking out more and more. And people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this. Oh my gosh. And it's just bad. So I can't believe they're still in the business. But I think a lot of people stay away from them just because of what happened with us, even if they don't think it's all Generac's fault. But I can assure you about 90% of it's Generac's fault. We had our normal problems, but you're always able to manage your problems until a giant problem happens. Then everything gets escalated and you can't keep up. Yeah. And that's what I want to try to prevent people from getting in that position, because that was the worst position. For 5 months, we were in survival mode and it was just crazy. And we were 2 months away from going public.